Hello once again. This part of the video is going to be about the Pontic subrace of the Mediterranean race. It's metrically similar to the Atlanto-Mediterranean, but they are a separate stock and they are mentioned separately by him. By Kuhn, that is, because we're doing more examples from the races of Europe. This is part of the same Mediterranean playlist. Right, first example here is a Bulgarian who he says is a very typical example of the type, except that he's notably low vaulted, so he has a low skull in comparison to most Pontic Mediterraneans, because like something that we tend to call East Mediterranean, the type tends to be rather high vaulted as well as long skulled. I showed you an East Mediterranean example of a Turk in the Caucasians I did last, so the Pontic type could be said to be a subset of that Eastern Mediterranean type. So yeah, this is a low vaulted but typical Pontic Bulgarian. And he says it's a large element in the Bulgarian population. Now we move on to this Moldavian farmer here, and yeah, here you can see he's a very typical example of the type, and he says that this is common around the region of Moldavia and Romania. Next we move on to a Czech fellow, and he says this, although a good example of the Pontic type, he's actually rather atypical among Czechs, because most Czechs are brachycephalic, and this fellow, as you can see, although he's rather wide skulled, he's relatively long skulled. He's got a very long skull. Finally, we move on to a Polish Mediterranean. Now this is actually supposedly a very good example of a type that was recognized specifically as a Polish Mediterranean element in the Polish population by Polish anthropologists. But this is actually a fellow of mixed Lithuanian Polish descent. He's apparently very similar to his mother's Polish side. So that's Pontic Mediterraneans.